Hello students, good morning. So DAF for mains this year is out now, and of course UPSC has made a very important change this year with respect to mains DAF filling. You must be knowing in January UPSC introduced a cadre policy. Earlier or before this cadre policy, we were following 2017's cadre policy, and now you will be governed by 2026 cadre policy. So that's very important and a very significant change that has happened in this year UPSC mains DAF filling form. So we'll of course talk about that, touch base with respect to what other changes are, but the prominent changes are with respect to cadre policy only. And if you have obviously qualified, you will be able to log in and see this kind of a message coming up, and this is the portal that you have to fill your DAF-1 from. Okay, so cadre policy, this is by the way the notice of January month, the change in cadre policy. It came on 23rd January, and now further all the IAS and IPS postings will be governed by this very cycle. Prior to that, I'll explain what was the rule and how this is different. And obviously, you can have your comments on that. You can obviously ask your questions on that. But yeah, this is the fundamental change. Prior to this particular, you will see that now the states or the groupings are arranged alphabetically and not regionally. So what was happening before? This was implemented from 2017 onwards, and what was happening here was that you could see that this is 2017, by the way, which is no more valid, but let me just quickly explain it to you so that you understand the contrast, that how the policy has changed. So here all the regions were geographically north, west, southern, northeastern states were aligned with each other, and you had to put a preference earlier. Okay, so first of all, you had to put a preference in zone. For instance, if I am from Haryana and if my schooling has happened, or college has happened in Delhi, or if I have a permanent residence also in Delhi, I can smartly play with two, or probably if I have some parents background from other state, also I can display that also as my home cadre. So earlier I had an option to game the system by having an option to have multiple home cadres or home state, and I could cleverly place that as insider and outsider. So earlier what was happening, that I had to put preferences for my zone. I would have put, for instance, I could have put zone 1 as my first preference, then zone 2 as my second, and zone 3 as my third, zone 5 as my fourth, and zone 5th as my fifth. If I put this preference of zone, then within each zones I had to put the preference of that what state I would consider within these zones, again in the order of rankings, right? So similarly 1, 2, right? I could do my rankings. So the problem with the system was that this system was quite easy to game with. By gaming, I mean you were able to rig this system. Rigging was easy because, as I said, I can claim myself as an insider from Delhi, and I can come as an outsider from Haryana if I have to eventually join Haryana, because insider vacancies are usually less. And if I had to serve Haryana in Haryana only, what I would do is I would say or claim myself coming from Delhi as my, by putting Delhi as my home state or admit as my home state, and I would come as an outsider from Haryana. I could do similarly for other states also. Usually we have this. We have residence at some other state. We have college or schooling from some other state. Our parents belong to some other state, and they might also have a land there. So most of us have multiple options to put in there as their home cadres, right? So earlier this was happening. Udit, specifically with respect to cadre, no, you have to fill it right now. Other options are not opened up this time. Like previously, there was They did open for a brief period last year the options to edit hobbies, etc. But this time they are not open that. They have only opened the option of putting your home state. I'll explain the changes. So carefully just understand the contrast, and then you will be able to put your home state also properly. Okay. So what was happening last time was that I could easily rig the system and I could do some sort of maths, some sort of permutation combination was easily available, and I could predict my expected states. And if I don't want to serve in northeast India, if I don't want to serve in southern part of India because I come from North India, I could easily place it lower in the order, or I could be even in the zone I could place certain states at the very last. So what was happening was that I could really make sure that I am not going and serving in those states, which obviously went against the spirit of All India Service. So obviously this was a concern, and usually the top rank officers had a certain state preference. They were either going to Uttar Pradesh or Rajasthan. They were easy. They were good states, kind of technically good states for them to work. And you would see a lot of them choosing Rajasthan, UP, or for that matter Haryana, or for that matter Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and very few were, for instance, choosing West Bengal, Tripura, or states like say Jharkhand. So this was obviously the difference that was happening last time. Since 2017 it was happening, and UPSC decided to change this. And within this, how my allocation was happening. So in my first zone, if I had put AgMet as first, I would be considered into AgMet. If not, then my second preference in zone 2 is UP, then I will be considered into UP. Then in zone 3, Maharashtra. Similarly, then in zone 5 was my fourth preference. I would be preferred into Karnataka, then Sikkim. And if I don't fall into one, then similarly second, third, and so on and so forth. So this was happening previously. And as I said, this wasn't quite easy system to rig and quite an easy system to predict. And I could really say that if I'm getting a top 10 rank, I am assured of a state of my choice. More or less, I could say that. Or even if I'm into 50 or 60 rank, I could predict my range of states, that either I will be going into Gujarat or Assam, Meghalaya or Karnataka, depending on this system. So you would see till this year also, there are various Telegram groups where these rankers who have gotten IS, IPS rank, they create an Excel sheet, and where they put, obviously based on the DAF, they put their numbering, and they can easily, before the official allocation also, they officially before the official allocation also, they tend to know what state they would be going. So it's very easy to rig. It was very easy to rig, but now is not the case anymore. Okay, so what changes have happened is the grouping system that has been introduced in the policy. Okay, so now what you have to only do in the form filling is that you just have to select. This is the only thing you have to fill now. Earlier you had to properly rank, as I explained. Now you just have to put your home state, and you have to confirm whether you want your home state, or you want to be preferred for your home state or not. This is known as insider, right? So you have a choice of being insider in your home state or not. For the first time ever, what they have also done is they have categorically told you that home preference or home state would be related to mother tongue, place of birth, parental details, educational qualifications, and higher educational qualifications, right? Previously, such bifurcation wasn't there. Okay, it was kind of understood that your domicile, or where your residence is, or where your education 10th class has happened, or you could obviously decipher more such criteria. Previously it was not explicitly mentioned, but now for the first time I see it is explicitly mentioned that these are the criteria on the basis of which you can select your home state, right? And on the basis of whatever home state you select, you have obviously proved, you have a proven track of certificates above. You have shown your birthplace, you have shown your parental details, etc. So obviously you cannot rig it anymore, and your home state should display consistency, that these are the details that you have already filled, and on the basis of that you are filling a home state. Then you are also asked whether you want to claim this as your home state, which means if I put Haryana, because a lot of this in my case fall in Haryana. In my personal case, I live in Haryana, I live in Faridabad, I have a home there. I've been living, my parents are also living in Haryana, okay, in Faridabad. My education, my schooling has also happened from Faridabad, DPS Faridabad. So my school is also in Haryana. My parents also live in Haryana. But my college has happened in Delhi, DU and JNU, etc. Right? And my parents originally are from Bihar, and they speak Maithili as mother tongue. And my mother tongue is Maithili. So now I can have, if I want, I can also put Haryana, I can put Agmat, I can put Bihar. So I have 3 states to put as my home state. Okay, but it has to be consistently, I have to prove this consistently, because I have mentioned all of this above in my form, either in the prelims, at the prelims time, or I'll be mentioning it again here. Okay, so with using these criteria, you will have to figure out your home state, and you will be allowed to pick only one. Okay, you'll be allowed to pick only one state. And if for that matter I consider Haryana as my home state, I will be further asked whether I want to be considered as an insider of Haryana or not. Okay, so if I say yes, I want to be considered as an insider to Haryana. Only in that case I will be getting Haryana now. Otherwise, I will not get Haryana if I do not consider Haryana as my home state. Okay, I cannot enter Haryana as an outsider anymore. Previously, I could. Previously, I could enter. I could have shown Delhi as my home state, and I could have entered Haryana as an outsider, because outsider has more vacancies than insiders usually, right? But this time it is not happening. So if I consider Haryana as my home state, and if I do not mention, or if I do not want to be considered as an insider, I am not coming in Haryana. Okay, this is a fundamental change, and I have no other choice but to follow this system. I hope this is very, very clear. I can explain it again if you have any doubts. See, on the basis of these details, you can obviously pick up a home state. Okay, in my case, as I said, my mother tongue is Maithili, so obviously Bihar is also an option. My place of birth is Bhatinda, Punjab, so Punjab is also an option. My parental details, they have mostly lived in Bihar, so Bihar is again an option. But my educational qualification is mostly in Haryana. My schooling and my college again come higher education goes to Delhi, and basic schooling happens in Haryana. So I have 2-3 options, and my permanent residency is in all 3 places, in Bihar, in Haryana, and Delhi. I have these residences at all 3 places to show. So naturally I will have 3 options to choose from, but I will only have to put one. Okay, so this is one fundamental change, and on the basis of that, they'll ask me whether you want to be considered outsider here or not. If I say no, insider or not, if I say no, I do not come to that state. So if I write Haryana not as an outsider, I don't want to be considered as an insider in Haryana, I'll not come to Haryana again. Okay, so this is one fundamental change that you need to know with respect to this. Then what has happened after? So of course the list would be placed like this, and only the candidates who will opt for the home state will be considered for their state. Otherwise, I do not go back. That's the first point. Now the second point is very important in this document. That is allocation cycle. So now I am divided into 4 cycles. I'm divided into 4 cycles. Cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4. Okay, 1 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Okay, so I am divided my the policy says that candidates are now divided into cycles of 25 ranks. So government will not, or government don't process the entire merit list at once. Okay, so if I am AIR 12, I belong to cycle 1. If I am AIR 38, I belong to cycle 2. If I am AIR 67, I belong to cycle 3. Okay, my UPSC rank is not changing, but the administrative reason of allocation of cadre happens in this cycle only. Okay, so it's a cadre allocation which is systematic now. Okay, now this point 3.3, if you can see, this says that if I have rank 7, for instance, if I have rank 7, I will be placed in cycle 1. Okay, if I have rank 7, I'll be placed in cycle 1. If I have rank 10, cycle 2, I'll explain how. If I'm ranked 16, cycle 3. Okay, so you will say, sir, 7, 10, 16, but why different cycle? Because I am in top 25 only, and you said that we are divided into cyclical order. If you go by that reasoning, perfectly fine. But when we come to 3.3, they say this, that if rank 7 is there, rank 10 is there, rank 16 is there, and all of them, for instance, want Uttar Pradesh as their home cadre, or they have allocated for Uttar Pradesh, for instance, all of them want UP as their home state, and they have applied, they have been considered for insider also, they take DS to that block, then rank 7 will be allocated insider in cycle 1. When the rotation happens from 1 to 25, rank 7, provided no other above ranker wants UP, he will be given UP, and if there are no other insiders left, these two will not get UP. For again, I'll explain it to you. So if UP has, say, 2 insider vacancies, ranks, and all 3 rankers, 7, 10, 16 in top 20 rank want Uttar Pradesh, and I only have 2 insider vacancy, rank 7 will be placed in first cycle, rank 16 will be placed in cycle 2, rank 10 will be placed into cycle 2, rank 16 will be placed into cycle 3, and in the first cycle rank 7 will get UP. In the second cycle, most likely rank 16 will get UP, and rank 16 will not get Uttar Pradesh, and he cannot come to Uttar Pradesh as an outsider anymore. So this is a fundamental change. This does not guarantee everybody UP. Previously, this would have happened from insider and outsider clause. I really hope this is clear. I hope this is clear and this is comfortable. If there's any doubt, you can obviously ask. So if many candidates from the home state are competing from home cadre, they will be considered one after another in different cycle and not all together. Previously, this wasn't happening. And naturally, Rajasthan, UP, you would see all of them, most of them putting in top 10 and 15 and 20 ranks. So if they have, depending on the insider vacancy, they will be allocated or divided into different cycles for that. Okay, I hope this is very, very clear to all of you. I hope there is no doubt so far. If there is any, you can ask and we proceed forward. Okay, so basically, yes, absolutely, it's not random. One student is saying sir फिर तो random हो गया. No, it's not really. मतलब कह सकते हो, but that's not a right language to say this. It's not random. It's that it enhances the all India spirit. of the services, because you really cannot rig the system, and you really cannot choose to serve in state of your choice only and deny probably, or be less willing to serve in the other states of the country. All of them are equally important. You go as an IAS officer, as an IPS officer, so yeah, you cannot really say कि मुझे यहीं रहना है या मुझे नॉर्थ में ही सर्व करना है. ठीक है, सो पॉजिटिवली देखो इसको. डोंट बी डिसहार्टेंड विथ व्हाट हैज हैपेंड. Okay, as I said, changes इसमें only in the cadre you have to fill right now. It will not be given to you again. With respect to hobbies and other portion of your DAF, most likely last year also we saw they will give an option to change during the interview. Okay, right. Then another important point is what was happening earlier was that you would have seen UPSC results from the last few years. You have seen students from categories scoring top rank. Okay, a lot of rankers this year also. You will see in top 50 rank who are not from general or unreserved, who are from SC or from SC. You will see a lot of candidates from SC coming in the top 50 ranks, and they're beating the general merit. They're beating the general merit. So now, previously they would have gotten the vacancy based on their based on their category only, but now they can compete with general vacancies as well. So if I get rank 48 and if I am from SC category, I necessarily don't wait for SC vacancies. If I get into a vacancy which is there for general, because I have beaten a general cutoff, I will be eligible for a general vacancy also. So basically I will be getting kind of two opportunities: one to compete in the UR vacancy because of merit, and one to compete in the SC vacancy because of the reservation. So a reserved candidate on general merit would first compete on the general or UR home seat, and if he or she is unsuccessful, he gets to be considered in his own reserved category. This is what the next two rule mean. Okay, so this is what the next two rule mean, and this is important for you to understand. Okay, so as I said, you cannot come back to your own state as an outsider, which previously you could. And this is where this policy becomes very important. And the seat will also not be wasted if for a UR candidate the vacancy as an insider is not available, it automatically shifts to ST. If ST is not available, then SC, then OBC. And similarly, again, if OBC vacancy is not filled because OBC is not available, then it would go to another ST, then SC, and then followed by UR again. So it shows that wastage of seats won't happen, and seats will be filled in any case. Even if it does not get filled, then the provision is that it goes to PwBD candidates can also be considered for that. Because if PwBD candidates, and this is a good move for PwBD candidates, they have been given two choices: either to fill their home state, I mean they will of course fill in home state, and also the other state. And it is kind of mandatory for the government to give either a home state to them or the other state of their choice. If not, then create vacancy, right? So the policy of exchange says that if you do not get insider vacancy, before converting that insider vacancy to an outsider vacancy, PwBD candidates will get a chance to compete to that vacancy. Okay, so if say Ria is a PwBD candidate and her home state is Maharashtra and no home cadre vacancies available, UPSC, instead of waiting for the general outsider allocation, it will check vacancy under PwD candidates. And if there are vacancy under PwD candidates in Karnataka, and Karnataka is also Ria's choice, then she'll get Karnataka, right? This is as simple as that, right? So if they miss their home state, they will be considered first in the allocation. Okay. And if not, then obviously their other state option is also there. One other preferred cadre option is also there. This is only option. This is only available to PwD BD candidates. Okay. So yeah. So this is a very important change for PwBD candidates, and yeah, it generally helps so that they can live a life which is not difficult. Okay, so this is for PwBD. Okay, now coming back to outsiders again. Okay, so you have to just fill this part, and as you see, you are just given an option alphabetically to move as an outsider and in the rotation group in a cycle. And this cycle will also change, by the way. So it's not that this will remain next year also. Next year 4 will go to 1, this will go to 2, this will go to 3, this will go to 4. Okay, so these states next year, Telangana, Tripura, will come in group 1. Okay, and this will change every year, right? So this policy naturally has been helping students to, you know, decide cadre or home state. At least that's the only option you have. Do we have more questions at this point? Do we have more questions at this point? Right, so just fill your home state properly. Rest, everything decides on rotation. Now, of course, as I said, home state, while filling home state, you might have multiple options that which state to fill and which state to not fill. Here I would say that the formula for picking up a state remains the same, even if we are not putting choices in zones and inside zones. We have some fundamental rules to pick up a state. Okay, so ideally, because the only chance you have is to get a top rank and get an insider choice for your state. That's the only shot you have, which is very restricted, very limited, but then you might have a shot at it, right? So to pick up a state, always consider certain factors while you're picking up a state. Okay, first of all, ensure that your state is not a CM driven state. Now, what do I mean by CM driven state? Where chief ministers are too powerful, they are calling shots, and bureaucrats more or less do not have a lot of independence with respect to dealing with opposition leaders at times. So CM driven states where chief minister is either too powerful or too weak, or everything is revolving around chief minister, and opposition in Vidhan Sabha or on the ground or in the media, you see a negligible presence of them. Avoid picking up those states. Okay, so CM driven states have to be avoided. Always choose a state which has governments rotating, like in Haryana. Usually, like this year trend broke, but then usually you would see 5 years Congress, 5 years BJP, in Himachal and Uttarakhand, you see these trend. Okay, so where opposition has an equal chance of coming to power, and obviously there, as a bureaucrat, you will be able to govern better, you will be able to manage better, right? If you are in a state which is ideologically driven, where government doesn't seem to be changing, then you either work or toe the line of ideology, or it becomes very difficult for you to work. Okay, so try picking up those states which are not ideologically driven, which are not CM driven, which has healthy rotation of power. And although you have very limited choice with respect to home state, mostly you will be clear on home state. But if, like me, you have multiple options, like I have Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, Agmat, I have 4 options, and I'm sure people from army background also have these kind of options. And people who were born somewhere else, who did education somewhere else, who lived somewhere else, you will have options. So while picking up a home state, also bear in mind these 3-4 factors. That would obviously help you to pick up the state better. Okay, so it's happening in cycles only now, and you will be first insider vacancies will be filled. Then if insider vacancies are not filled, you will also, like, it will cross the community thing. It will go from general to ST to SC to OBC, and similarly for other categories, and it will be filled. Even if then it is not filled, PwBD will be invited, and obviously they will be able to they will be given a chance. If they also don't fill an insider vacancy, then only it becomes outsider, and when it becomes outsider, then it starts happening alphabetically. Okay, it starts happening alphabetically based on a roster, and this is the roster that you know. Okay, so if I'm competing as an outsider, I have a roster, and I'll be first preferred this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Group 1 completes, cycle completes, group 2 starts, this, then this, then this, then this. It's a roster for outsider. First, insider will be filled, then PwD will be accommodated, then categories will be, it will cross cut the categories, and if not, then it becomes outsider, where I'll be allocated in this sense. Insider first, then cutting cross categories, then PwBD, and if then insider remains, then insider gets converted to outsider. Okay, and in outsider, then I operate in the cycle of 25 each, 25, 25, 25, 25, which is 1 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, and on the basis of that, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on and so forth. Cycle of 25 goes, then 25 to 50 goes, 50 to 75 goes, 75 to 100 goes. It's like this. Okay, so you just have to put up a home state. There is nothing else you have to do at this point of time. I have explained the criteria of selecting a home state to you. Please bear in mind those conditions, those criteria, although it's explicitly mentioned also. Like me, if you have multiple options of state, then pick up states which are not ideologically driven, which are not CM driven, where healthy rotation of power happens, and where CM is not too weak. Okay, you know these states. If you have any query, of course, you can obviously ask to me by filling the form, and I'll be helping you fill this properly. Okay, so in this mains form, you just have to fill this part only as of now. As of now, there has been no changes allowed in the hobby section, in the other areas of achievement, etc. There are no changes allowed at this point. You only have to fill this, and it's a significant move from the previous cadre policy from 2017 to 2026. The policy has changed, right? Okay, now quickly I'll also explain the other component of DAF filling. I mean, this will come at the later stage, but then if you have time, be ready to dwell on a bit of hobbies also. If not, then obviously I'm sure you are very, very occupied in mains and you will not have time. But then if you can inculcate anything which also supplements your mains preparation, please bear in mind that you will also have to update this section later on. After this stage in the interview, you'll have to update this section also. And these things are probably not in your hands at this point, but this definitely is in your hand, which can supplement your mains preparation. I mean, you can obviously it must be a stressful time and you must be working a lot, so there's no harm going into spirituality, right? In naam jap, in meditation, in some sort of chanting, in some sort of pranayam, in some sort of yoga. If you are not into spirituality, you can obviously join fitness. You can do HIIT, you can do such other exercise which also keeps you physically fit, because mains is just not an examination where you have to demonstrate your mental capabilities. You have to be physically also very fit, because you have to write a lot, and until and unless you have power in your hands to write so much, you will obviously fall short. Okay, so please do basic exercises at least. Do not live a life which do not include exercises, and just don't keep studying every all the day. Please also give some time to your fitness. So you can obviously, if you whatever you inculcate at this point of time, you can further place it here also in D, which will always be helpful. If you are into reading, if you are reading some non-fiction or even fiction which also enhances your essay or ethics, you can obviously prepare this for D section, and it will obviously help you. Okay, coming to this part, obviously I have explained this multiple times and there is no point explaining at this point. It's just that you have to diversify it. You have to create themes. You have to diversify this portion and create themes on the basis of which the questions will be asked to you. And whatever you are doing, please think that you will have to justify this in the interview. So whatever hobbies, whatever activities you are doing alongside your studies, even at this point of time, this can be helpful for this portion. Okay, more or less that's the only change in this year DAF filling. This was previous year system. This is current year's system. Okay, this is current year system, this is previous year system. That is the only change. This is obviously not relevant anymore. This is where the entire thing happens. Okay, if you have any doubt with respect to DAF filling, you can reach out to me. I will be helping you. You can meet me at Civilsdaily's office also. I will help you. Do we have any questions? Right? Okay. So all the best for your mains preparation. Please continue working and please fill this on time. This window will close on 28th. Thank you very much.